Anyway, happy New Year's to you guys. I'll just start out by talking briefly about the GLI and fielding your questions. Obviously, we went into that tournament hoping to change our fortunes as to how the first half of the season went, and it didn't go as we hoped. Obviously, a little frustrating when you play two games in which you weren't behind in any of the games all game until the end. And so, while one area of our game seems to make some progress, there's other areas that go flat, and we've got to figure a way to kind of grind through what we're going through and get all areas on the move in a positive way. So I thought in goal, I thought Hildy played real well both games. I thought defensively, with the exception of a couple instances, I thought overall we played pretty well. Offensively, we've gone flat, and we've got to find a way to create more scoring chances. I did think we had more offensive zone possession time in the second game against Northern, which was real positive, but it didn't generate enough. They defend pretty good. They have a very low goals against in the country, and they're tough to get to the front of the net, and we've got to figure a way to do that against teams who defend like that. So, unfortunately, we didn't make the progress that we hoped to make coming out of that, and so now, we continue to be in a mode that we're trying to find ourselves and find some confidence. And now upon us is a rivalry series, which hopefully provides that opportunity. And obviously they're a real good opponent. They're playing well. They're playing with lots of confidence. They've been scoring a lot, and that'll present lots of challenges for us. But hopefully that could be a recipe to give us something to go after and see if we can start building a little confidence a game at a time. So with that, what you got?
Tom, when you look at your defense, the way it played in Detroit, is that a boost based on what happened in December when it was a little bit tough to get out of their own zone and you basically, seemingly at least looked like you were able to move the puck better and you got some bad breaks where you give goals, but at least it looked like there was a little more activity back there and positive activity? Yeah,
I thought our game made progress in that area, and that's been kind of the story of the season so far, that a certain area makes progress and another area goes flat. And so, early in the season, when we were really generating a lot of goal scoring opportunities, it got to a point where we were allowing too many goals against, too many quality scoring chances. I think coming out of the weekend, I thought we did a pretty good job in that regard. I did think we advanced the puck out of the zone, exited the zone with more efficiency. I still think we can do a much better job in transition in the neutral zone. But overall, from a defensive perspective, it was a pretty good 2 games in total. It allows you to play a little bit different if you can create some goal scoring gap. Like we did have the 2 goals in the game against Tech. We had a 2-goal margin, and then I didn't think we managed the situation, the frustration of the 1 goal that we gave up that really gave them some life. I thought at that point we were in pretty good control of the game, and then we let it slip away. But I did think we defended better than we had been.
Another target for the last 16 has to be the power play, right? Because if you even get one another power play goal here or there, you may win both games, and that even goes back to the Northeastern game.
Without a doubt. The power play has been a point of focus for us from the beginning of the season, and we really felt coming into the season, as you usually do, that you've got to win special teams. And so our penalty kill has been pretty consistent, and we have not been able to generate enough goal scoring off of our power play. And in fact, in times, and even in that second game against Northern Michigan, it actually took some momentum away from us. I think that we didn't manage the situation very well. I think some guys got frustrated over some things that that we didn't accomplish, and so what you hope to be a positive can sometimes go the other way, and we've got to learn as a group to better manage that, and that's being compounded by the frustration of not getting the results that we want. So that's something we're going to continue to focus on, because we've got to turn it. It's got to become more productive for us.
Catch-22 question. You've won one game in nearly 2 calendar months. So how do you get confidence without having results?
Really difficult, Fred. It's really difficult. That's what we're fighting through every day. We're trying to narrow our focus. We're trying to focus on small things. Set goals that aren't big picture goals, but are more probably short-term type goals, and the goal there is to achieve them and build on it. And so I think kind of reassessing where we are, resetting our objectives, and trying to make small gains that will hopefully add up over a period of time is the challenge, and that's hard.
A toll on you? Because, man, you don't show it.
It's pretty demanding. Physically, mentally. The thing that's on my mind the most is just we have a really good group in that locker room, and everybody's feeling it. And so I worry about those guys the most. That's where 100% of my mind is how can we make gains to help achieve the results that we all want, but more than anybody, those guys in the locker room. So, yeah, that wears on you. And if I'm not showing it, that's great.
You do that by design. Right?
Try to. Our team's going to take a lead from me. And so if I'm not going to be positive, if I'm not going to have energy, that doesn't reflect well. So the staff, anybody around me, I'd be lying if I said it's easy. Yeah. It's probably miserable for my family, most of all, because that's more behind the scenes. But we have to. I'm asking our guys to push through it, and I can't. Those can't be words. I have to push through it too.
Because I've heard around town. I heard in Dallas. Man, I feel bad for Anastos, but probably the one thing you don't want right now is pity.
No, don't feel bad for me. I feel bad for the results we're getting for our players. That's the foremost thing on my mind. I'm worried most about those guys, and I want them to have success. So we're all trying to push through this together.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned that with Michigan coming up this weekend, obviously a big rivalry. Is this one of those series that, from the confidence standpoint, can go one way or another, like a big swing in either direction, depending on how things go?
You'd like to think so, at least from a positive perspective. But, it doesn't get any easier looking ahead. That's why we can't look too far ahead. We got to look in the immediate. And I think the positive is we're playing a school that we have a terrific rivalry with. And so they'll be ready to play, and I'm confident our team will be ready to play. We can't, where our game is today, we can't focus on what the end result is going to be. We have to focus on putting together all phases of our game. Whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, to use a football analogy, that's what we have to focus on. And so I think it's just next team up. It happens to be a rivalry team that matters a lot, and so maybe that's an opportunity.
And you talked a little bit about the offense. I mean, it's been about 2 months or so, and you've had that one game where you got 4 goals. How do you generate more? What kind of things do you guys have to do, and how close has it been from an offensive standpoint?
I think it's ebbed and flowed a little bit. I think that we have to do a better job of creating pressure entering the zone so we can create more offensive opportunities as we enter the zone. And teams defend a little bit differently. And getting to the front of the net, we've got to find a way to be able to make plays, get to the front of the net, create traffic on the goaltender. And we also have to figure a way to create more shots from the point that get through that can create danger in front of the net. So, there's no single way. There has to be a combination of ways to create offense. And, we have to, in my opinion, we have to do a better job in all phases of that. One is just the willingness to go there, paying the price to go there. That's not an easy thing, and especially when, oftentimes you go and won't necessarily get rewarded, but you got to keep the fight up. You got to keep going. So when that opportunity does present itself, maybe it goes in.
Does it surprise you that those guys, because that's something you preached for a while, does it surprise you that it's kind of went away a little bit?
What has surprised me is I thought our scoring early was pretty balanced, and that was a positive thing, and I thought it was emerging. And then, we went into a period of time where we were struggling defensively, and now maybe subconsciously guys are thinking more about defense, and obviously we wanted to defend better, but at the same time maybe we weren't as aggressive as we could be. And so now, as a player, you're not scoring as regularly as you had, or you're not creating as many chances as you had, and now you start thinking about that, and you overthink it. And so I don't have a simple answer. We're trying so many different things, and yet everything comes back to confidence. Your question earlier, finding confidence, and where we are today, we have to find confidence in small gains. So for me, it's from an offensive perspective, doing the things that we talk about with regularity, and creating scoring chances. I'd like to see our number of scoring chances increase. If that happens, the chances of creating goals is better, whether it's special teams on the power play or it's 5-on-5 or even strength. And that's how focused we have to be to build a little bit of confidence.
Any possibilities of moving people around, lines, changing things again in practice?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, we're going to keep. Yeah, we're going to keep trying new things until we find combinations, whether it's on the power play or 5-on-5, that may create a little bit of spark. And so, yeah, we had different line combinations today. We've tried them in games, as you've probably seen. And so, it starts with individual players and their ability to execute and bring their game to a very high, both compete and emotional level, and then trying to find those combinations. And we haven't been able to do that with enough consistency and depth. And I think some of the teams that will be playing here, depth-wise, it's going to be important that we have some depth.
When you were going through that stretch of New Hampshire and Tech and Boston College where you were scoring, and a line like, say, Ferentino, McEachran, and Appleton, and then even the second one with Ebbing, Stangline, and Cox, they seem to be just in sync. Chemistry was good. How does something like that go astray where suddenly it's not working and suddenly what was chances were coming aren't, and they're frustrated?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's small little things. When the puck seems to be going in or bouncing in, everything you do seems to be right. And then when you get into a funk where nothing seems to be going right, now that negatively impacts your confidence. I remember as a player myself going from both ends of it. I remember being in a place at one time where I didn't feel anything I was doing worked out positively. Now you get into a place where you're afraid to make mistakes, and you really can't play the game afraid to make mistakes. And then I was on the other end where I thought I was invincible, which is a much nicer place to be, even though in reality you're not invincible, but at least you think you are, which you can say that, but believing it matters. And so that's why it's so tenuous that you got to keep working at it every day, because why did Tiger Woods dominate golf, and then now it's the same guy, and yet he's struggling to find his stroke? Confidence is a major factor, and I don't think there's an easy answer to it. Chemistry sometimes is an issue, but I think when confidence isn't at the level that you want it, all of a sudden now, you start thinking too much. And our game is too fast of a game to spend too much time thinking. But it's not easy to tell somebody, don't think, just play. I've been on both ends of that too. And You could say it, you can understand it, but when you get out there, it's hard to, you know.
You came back from Detroit, and you went back on the ice for the first practice. What was the mood, the culture of the team when they were back to reality?
You know, I think we're all struggling with where we are because we have high expectations of ourselves, and so there's a level of frustration. I don't want to pretend that doesn't exist. It does, and we're all trying to band together to push each other and yet support each other. You know, I told guys, if I'm walking around here with my head hung, kick me in the teeth, wake me up, you know, because I'm going to do that to you. But that's easier said than done. You know, you want to have success. You want to have success for the players. You want to have success for the fans. You want to have success for the school. And when things aren't going the way you want them to, it's frustrating. And so we've been working hard. We've been very businesslike, but we're pushing each other to try to overcome the disappointment we have in our results to date.
Okay, one more thing, and that's when you look at Michigan on video and all of that, what makes them so dynamically, offensively gifted this year?
Skill in their personnel and depth in their personnel. I think they have a defense that moves the puck well, and I think a lot of it starts there. That's real positive. And then they have some good experience and some good depth up front, and they've added with some younger guys who complement and come in with skill as well. So I think that's a pretty well balanced team.
On paper, it's probably a bad time to play Michigan, but maybe it's a good time to play Michigan. Maybe a rivalry will bring the best out of your team.
Yeah, that's what I'm hopeful for. I'm hopeful that's the case. And, we're searching for answers to get our season turned around. This presents a new challenge and maybe a new opportunity. And that's the way we're trying to look at it, is it's a new opportunity. All right.